So we are back at CAMA 2015, where we've just heard a fabulous presentation on sponsorships and the opportunities for municipalities to engage in innovative sponsorship opportunities. I'm joined right now by Brent Barootes. Brent is the CEO of Partnerships Group Sponsorship Specialists, which has a variety of clients, including municipalities across the country. Thank you so much for joining us. You just gave us a great presentation. I wonder if you could share with us what your thoughts are about the key elements that municipalities have to consider if they want to start considering how sponsorships could work for them.
That sounds great. It's when we look at it, the key is for a municipality or any organization, whether it's a not-for-profit or a charity or a pro or amateur sports team, is that they need to figure out what they have to sell. Because typically, organizations like municipalities look at, I can sell a rink board, or I can sell a banner here, or put a logo there. And the key is that what sponsors want is beyond that. And so they really need to dig deep and figure out all the stuff that they have to sell that could be sold to somebody or could be valuable to somebody, whether that's access through digital and social media, whether it happens to be a gaming program on their website and gamify an opportunity, whether that happens to be, sampling product at an arena. So they need to figure out, first and foremost, what they have to sell. Then in addition to that, they have to figure out what those assets are worth, so that they can take them to market and stand by the value. Just in the same way that I always use the example in 2009 or late 2008, if you went into a Cadillac dealership and said, I love that Seville that's there for $80,000. You guys, General Motors is broke right now. You're bankrupt. I'll take that off your hands for 40 grand. And the Cadillac dealer would say no, because this car's worth 80 grand. And this gives you
got to know what it's worth.
It's got to know what it's worth to be able to stand behind that. So it's inventory, figure out what you've got, figure out what it's worth. And then the other ancillary components are there's got to be good policy. Just like in any municipality for any areas of the organization, has to be strong policy, and that policy has to be developed. And then they have to determine, now that they know what they have to sell, what it's worth, and how much money they should be bringing in, and they've got policy to back that, how do they actually monetize this? How do they get the money in the door? Do they build internal capacity, or do they outsource it?
And if you don't get the policy right, the politics isn't going to be right.
That's absolutely correct. And policy is beyond, most people think of it as, who are we going to accept money from and who are we not going to accept money from? But it goes beyond that. It goes to, for example, the City of Edmonton doesn't do any exterior namings on buildings. They only sell naming rights inside the buildings, where other municipalities might sell them on the outside. At the same time, it could be policy around what's the role of the different staff level, what can they accept for a sponsorship, and when does it have to go to senior administration, and when does it have to go to a council to be approved? And then all the traditional things about what does the signage look like, how long does it have to be able to last, is it who's responsible for putting it up, who's responsible for taking it down, what happens if the company goes bankrupt, who's responsible for the replacement?
So that would be a lot to know, particularly in a smaller municipality where that expertise might not be typically resident. What are the sorts of models that people use to get that expertise on their side to make sure they're going ahead in a way that reflects the best policies and practices available?
There's several different routes. One, they can hire a company like ourselves or any of our competitors to build that policy for them. And then they would take it and they'd run it through administration, they'd review it, they would amend it according to their own community from the perspective that we want to change the mandate on who we can sell to or who we can't. And then it would probably go to council, and that might make additional changes. For others, other communities, they might take a crack at it and build it themselves, and then they give it to us to make sure it's applicable to the industry, the sponsorship industry itself, so that there's some legal ramifications and those sorts of things. And the other one, we're seeing a lot of municipalities, a lot of our clients, that are saying, you know what, there's lots of municipalities out there that are willing to share this. If you go to the City of Toronto's website, they've got all their policies, everything from philanthropy, like in the revenue generation side, everything from philanthropy to corporate sponsorship, and those policies are all there. You can pull them down. I think the City of Edmonton shares theirs. Gary Dewar shares his. There's quite a few. We did some work up as well in the Resort Municipality Whistler. They share their policies with whoever asks, same as in Canmore and Point Claire.
Well, CAMA is certainly all about sharing best practices and sharing information, and at a time when municipalities are stressed to be able to deliver services and certainly under a lot of pressure to not raise taxes, I want to thank you very much for sharing a really innovative way to try and bring more money in and respecting the best values and traditions of public service in the country. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.